Stalker 2 is arguably one of the most ambitious games, well, ever. Not least because it's being made against the backdrop of a literal war, as has been heavily documented. We very much enjoyed what we played in our recent preview, but to find out more about how developer GSC Game World has overcome these exceptional circumstances, we recently visited the studio's Prague office and sat down with the game's director.
For someone who has no idea what Stalker is, if you could give us a brief overview of Stalker 2 in the series.
When we start doing Stalker 2, we decided that we should make it in the way that the players who don't know anything about Stalker 1, Stalker franchise, Stalker story, they should be able to play the game and get all this content and get it from this second part. So knowing the more deeper lore isn't necessary. If you know first Stalker, it gives you additional taste from some characters you know from the first part, and it's always fun to find them in the game, and you never expect who's going to be next, who's going to be the new characters, but it's totally not necessary. First Stalker is immersive first-person shooter with role-playing elements. Role-playing in Stalker 2 is very important for us. Even if some dialogues will lead you to the same result, it's important to give you different ways how to role-play yourself. We put a lot of efforts to make it as realistic and fun as possible, because it's not just a shooter, it's more an immersive game.
A big topic of discussion with Stalker 2 is obviously been the various delays in the road getting here. And would you say that the privilege of having more time, it was as a result of you choosing to self-publish the game?
The biggest part came from that we are independent studio and we can make own decisions, and we don't have this pressure that usually the companies, like public companies, have, and having this independence is something that can help us make the game much better.
Obviously Stalker 2 gets to use Unreal Engine 5. Would you say that helped you guys create the immersive atmosphere in Stalker 2, and if so, how?
The quick answer is yes. When we start developing the Stalker 2, we start on Unreal Engine 4, and it had lack of a lot of features that we have on Unreal Engine 5, and we changed a lot of our pipelines and technologies to use these features. It still doesn't solve all the problems. You still have to be effective, optimized, but it allows you to have more freedom. The harder part is that we start working on Unreal Engine 5 before the Unreal Engine 5.0 release. So we had a lot of things changed because we just started much earlier, but if we would start from 5.4 version, it would be very, very easy for us to, we would spend much less efforts to get where we are now, because it's a very huge game with a lot of content, with a lot of challenges that other games usually not having. You have a big city with very tall buildings with the content inside these buildings, and it's a very tough task.
Did the fact that the game was coming to console inform the game design at all?
I don't think we put a lot of time of doing something specifically for consoles, like let's do this part differently because we are moving on consoles, and okay, for PC it may be worse, but let's stick to console. No, all decisions was, is it good for game, and doesn't it give the same opportunity for players on controller to have the same experience? If yes, that we are doing everything good. If the feature we are trying to do gives an unequal experience, then maybe something wrong with design, but there were not so much examples of such cases.
What does success look like to you as a studio?
We will see it after several months after release, after a year after release, and Stalker 2 is not just a title we release and we forget about it. It's a growing universe. You could improve it, you could add, we are putting a lot of efforts on supporting modding tools. We have a big modding community, and modders are someone who making your game alive after your release, and they are developing, adding new experience for the players, and to have all this additional content, it's also a success.
And obviously, the documentary recently released. What have you made of the feedback? Is it good, bad? How's that been?
So the feedback is different depending on the audience you're looking for. If you're looking on a Russian audience, it's totally different. So if you're looking on any free world audience, I believe everyone who watched it and give feedback, they loved the story and they loved this film. And I believe that director of the film did a very hard and good work with how he showed the story. I believe they got 80 hours of material, and putting it to 1 hour and a half is very hard. There are a lot of places where I start crying, and it's very emotional film for us.